To chapter number 11, handling objections. In chapters 7, 8, 9 and 10, we went through the first 4 steps of making a sales call: prospecting and qualifying, doing the homework, that is pre-approach, then actually approaching the customer and doing the presentation. Once you do the presentation, do you think you will start selling the product right away? Not at all. There will be a lot of questions and objections. So you really have to prepare to handle those objections. And that is what we will focus on in this particular chapter. There are lots of video clips, as you can see here, so I encourage you to watch them. Now, here is one interesting video clip that I would like you to think about. This is from a Harvard professor, so let us go ahead and see what he has got to say about the negotiation techniques. And he says that your strategy has to be vague. That is not so clear. Do you agree with that? I don't know. We will go and probably listen to him.
Order? Oh, 28.
Hi, Mike. I've always wanted to meet you, and I've had this really interesting question that I want to ask you.
Please.
So, you're a big guru in negotiation, right? I've always wanted to know, when do you have to be like the real tough guy? And, when do you have to be like pally-pally and, be really good and very sweet? How do you win,
I think the answer is all the time. I think you want to be both. And it's interesting, the research shows that people think there's a trade-off between being assertive, being strong, and at the same time, being empathetic with the person you're dealing with. So, research also shows that you can get a good deal without compromising a relationship. There's a Picasso quote I like a lot. He says, always have a plan, but it should be a vague plan. So you should know what your values are. You should know fundamentally who you want to be, but you should be open to opportunities as they arise. There's no way that you'll know whom you're going to sit next to on an airplane or what friend is going to say, gee, we could really use your help in this firm. But if you keep that vague notion of what's important to you always center of mind, you'll do the right thing. Does that help?
It does.
Okay, good.
Okay, so what do you think? Should you have a vague negotiation strategy? It is not a bad idea, but the point is there are different ways how you can approach this kind of negotiations, okay? You have to deal with objections and you have to find various ways of handling the objections. Maybe having a vague strategy can also help. You don't want to lose your values, that is what they said, and you also don't want to be too friendly and too lenient. You need to stand your ground, at the same time cultivate a relationship. Ask yourself how you can do it. Every person will do it slightly differently. That's why sales is an art. It is not exactly a science, okay? You do it differently, I do it differently, and we both may be selling the same product, seeds, to trying to sell seeds to a farmer. So you have to think about it. Now, if you go and watch this particular video clip, you will find that maybe you have to find a common ground between you and your customer. Okay, you are thinking of a certain price, maybe $100 per unit, and of certain quality, and the customer is thinking of either $100 for a higher quality or for the existing quality a little lower price. Now, how are you going to come to meet in the middle? That is that common ground, and you have to figure out a way to do that. I encourage you to watch this particular video clip where you can see a tense back and forth between the producers, okay, the company owners, and the manufacturers in Germany. And you can see that there is international cultural values are in play, business propositions are in play, and we have to make a mutually beneficial solution for both the Scrub Daddy manufacturers, which was a Shark Tank product, and the company owners, that is Scrub Daddy, and the German manufacturers over there. So you have to ask yourself, how are you going to find a common ground? I strongly encourage you to watch that. Now, should also think of, what else you can do. If you look into the history, you will learn that almost each and everything that you can find in the past has a bit of negotiation. There was a conflict and it was negotiated, and people were able to get through the situation because of that negotiation. For instance, Abraham Lincoln, right? And there was a film made about him. I hope you watched it. It won Oscars and all. And according to that film, if you watch that entire film is full of negotiations, okay? When I saw that film, I thought, wow, this is exactly what we talk about in terms of handling objections, because there were objections between the South and the Union armies, and there were objections between the value systems, and we have to kind of make them meet in the middle. And if you look into that movie, as I did, you would find that you have to anticipate things that will be happening. In fact, there is a short video clip that I may show you down the road where you will be anticipating what the other group is going to do, so that you have to prepare for that. That is, you have to cover your bases, because you know that your opponent, or not exactly an opponent, they are on the other side, so you have to cover your bases. And Abraham Lincoln does very well while it comes to addressing the concerns of the South. Attack the problem from all sides. Yes, Abraham Lincoln wanted to remove slavery, erase slavery, but at the same time, the southern states will be losing their economy. That is the argument in this movie clip. But at the same time, he will be saying, okay, you are just thinking about the economy. What about the human values? So he kind of brings in a much bigger thing as part of saying that we have to get rid of slavery, which I really like about it, and talk about the common greater good. What is good for the whole country? What is good for humanity? That we have to get rid of slavery. That was his argument, which I loved very much. Now, I want you to pay attention to the word common here and common here. And that's the key thing here. You have to identify common ground between yourself as well as the customer that you are trying to sell to. Now, are these the only things, vague strategies and covering the bases and attacking the problem from all different angles? Not at all. There are some tactics that you can use, that techniques that you can actually implement. And if you look into this particular video clip, you will see that there are about 5 different strategies that you can use. So let us quickly watch this and
Hi,
go
this is
from
Victor Antonio with another sales influence moment. Today I want to talk about objections. Basically, objections and the strategies we should use to basically handle those objections. Now, I've never seen this done, so I've kind of put this together, I think, for the first time. Is basically what I want to do right now is categorize the type of objections we typically get. Now, I believe there are 4 categories of objections with maybe a 5th one. Let's go through them. The first one is deflect. When you get an objection from a customer, for example, your price is too expensive, maybe you'll try to deflect that by changing the conversation or maybe moving on to something else. In other words, you never really handle the actual objection, you just never answer it. We've all been there. People deflect it but never get around to answering it. I think this is one of the worst strategies you can use because it builds distrust and you lose credibility when you simply don't answer the question. So a deflect strategy is never the best. Those are left for the snake oil salesman. Now, then there's the defend.
Okay, so here he says deflecting is a bad strategy. So I don't want you to deflect. Deflecting is like, hey, you know what, customer, you raised a question, but I'm not going to answer it. Yes, we know that that's a problem and I'm not going to address it. I will kind of deflect it and I will assume as if you never asked me that question. So that is probably a bad strategy. And now he's going to talk about defend. So we will just watch about defending and then talk about the other techniques as we take the notes.
Again, your price is too expensive. That's when you defend your price. You said, yes, our prices are more expensive, Mr. Customer. And then you defend them by saying, and here's why, and then begin to justify. That, I believe, is the best strategy so you don't have to negotiate down or get discounted on price. Another one is to actually diffuse the objection. Let's say the objection is something.
Okay, so as you can see here, there are multiple techniques that you can use. Deflect is bad. Defend, you can say that, hey, you know what, my price is right for the product that I am selling because of the quality, because of the service we provide, because of the extra promises that we provide, additional guarantees and warranties that we can produce. Okay. Diffuse, that is, hey, you know what, I know that this is a big problem, but we have taken care of it like this with our earlier customer, and we can also use the same techniques and strategies while we are implementing the product for you. Like that, you can diffuse. Diminish, and you can say, hey, you have this question now, we will wait for it and we will address it later. And dissect, which is what I like the most, that is, you are going to get into the actual component of question, and then let us divide that into different parts and ask more questions so that you can understand the real cause of objection, and then you can answer them. So remember that you can deflect, which is a big no, so don't do that. You can defend, or you can diffuse, you can diminish, and you can say we will address it at the end. And in case if my further presentation is not really taking care of your concern, we will come and address it later. Like that, you can diminish it at least at that moment, and then you will revisit it at the end. And finally, which I like the most, is dissect. I always wonder whether it is 1 yes or 2 yes. Okay, so these are the 5 strategies that you can do, and I would say please don't deflect, okay, because it will look bad on you. Now, here is another nice video clip where you can see 2 candidates that are contesting out elections, and if you look into that particular video, you will know that sometimes there is an objection and you have to get over that. And how do you do that? By pivoting. You are going to change the topic so that the new discussion will take precedence, and that will probably address the older issue as well. It's not exactly like deflecting. You are actually changing the conversation so that you can make them see the positives of your product. That is the major important thing. Now, sometimes you will find that there is no way how you can win with the customer. They want to pay the lowest price, or they don't want to pay at all. They just want it for free. And if you watch this particular video clip, you will see a lot of examples. In those cases, you just have to say no. Okay. So sometimes you have to just run away from those kind of customers. So that is the major thing that you have to remember when it comes to some of the strategies and tactics that you can use. So when we come back in the next video clip, we will get into section 11.1, where we will see what the book has to say about objections and how we can deal with objections so that you can make the sale happen.